Hey, Oswaldo. What have you thought of just the way Glaber has turned his season around, especially in these past couple of months?
That's so emotional for me. So I'm so happy for him. Obviously, he's one of the biggest teammate in the team. He's from the same. We are from the same country, and we got that special friendship relation. And obviously, see how he turned around all the season in the last couple months was so special. See the Glaber that we know, who is, that's the Glaber that we know. That's the Glaber that every time came to the play, and we know that he gonna do something. And the way that he showed the last couple months, like saying for himself that he's not done, everything is not done yet, and show every time, every play appearance show the things that he can do that was so special for all the team.
How have you seen him handle everything mentally from, not performing well in the first half to getting benched a couple of times? Just how have you seen him handle it?
Obviously, it wasn't easy. It's not easy the position that he was in the first couple months, but the way that he handled was pretty good because every time he came to the field with the same energy, with the same, uh, with the same way that used to be a good teammate every time. He never complained anything. He never uh think anything like negative things in his head. Nah, he didn't show that in any time. So for that reason, for all the teammates was so good seeing him every time he come to the play with the same type of guy that we know.
Thanks, Oswaldo.
Thank you, Chris.
All right, we'll go to Gary up next, Oswaldo.
Hey, Oswaldo, thanks for taking the time today. Just curious, how much of a help has Anthony Rizzo been over at first base in general, but especially over this last week?
We was talking that yesterday. Rizzo for us, and not just for me, for Ben and for JB, for Bertie. We are like the student, and he's like our Mr. Miyagi. That was funny because he's the guy who is over there. We know that he can't play right now, so he's over there just teaching us, trying to give the advice, to try to give the different situation that can happen during the game. And for that reason, for us is we are glad to having him here in the team.
Gotcha. And then just out of curiosity, are you using your own mitt over at first base yet, or is it still DJ's?
This is still DJ's, still DJ's glove. Yeah,
Gotcha.
I feel comfortable with that one.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Thank you, Gary.
All right, we'll go to Peter up next, Oswaldo.
Hi, Oswaldo. Understanding that you play every position basically and need to be ready at any time, how do you go about staying ready, and what has it meant to you to get this opportunity here in the playoffs?
I try to take the advantage of my coaches here. They are here for us. They are every time trying to help us. And obviously Chappie is one of those guys who is back there trying to help us a lot. And that's the thing that I try every time, just coming here, try to work uh, smart, not obviously hard, but the most smart possible. Try to work in the situation that can happen in the game, and just try to be ready for that. And but yeah, I have to say that he's one of the biggest keys in the defense, in my defense side.
And then just now that you're able to focus maybe a little bit more on one position in the short term, just how does that maybe help you? And just what's your excitement level now that you're getting to, play a little bit more regularly in the playoffs?
Yeah, I've been working for be ready in any situation. So now they give me the opportunity to play first for the Rizzo situation, and I'm just like trying to do my best to help the team. That's the key all the time. That's my mental, like, that's what I'm thinking every time. Just try to be ready and just try to do my best to help the team to win.
Thank you.
Thank you, Pete.
We'll go to Ron Blum next, Oswaldo.
Hey, Oswaldo, what has the process been like getting comfortable and learning how to pick up all the short hops at first base?
That's funny, P, because I'm sorry, Ronald, because uh, one of the things that I really enjoy when I'm practicing is practice the the picks on first. So I'm every time with Weaver over there every day, just trying to get picks. And one thing that I really enjoy after everything that I do is getting that reps over there. Like I really practice a lot because it's not just because I know that can happen in the game. Like we're gonna have those situations, but more than that is because I really enjoy that time that I'm working in that special drill.
How much time a day have you spent on that?
No, maybe not too much. Obviously, we got a lot of things to do. We have to cover a lot of things during the practice, but definitely that's one of my favorite drills, and that's one of my favorite part of my practice.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go to Justin next, Oswaldo.
Hey, Oswaldo, when you're at first base and there are base runners for the Royals on over at first, how much does the speed threat, how much of a challenge does that present to you?
You mean for the speed that the Royals have all the team overall?
Yes.
So we know those guys. We know those guys got a really nice speed. Like they got a lot of fast runner, young team. Obviously, they got a lot of fast runner. And when I'm first, obviously there, and if I see something that can give me something in my mind that he's maybe stealing, I probably gonna try to tell or let the pitchers know in my way, because I don't want to put like too many things in the head too. But my position there is try to learn. Like I'm trying to learn his body language, how he lead, how he changed his lead, and how he's trying to do something. And for that reason, it's something that I can pick. I gonna tell the pitcher.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll go to Greg Joyce next, Oswaldo.
Hey, Oswaldo, you got a good amount of games in the playoffs 2 years ago. How much did that experience kind of help you this time around, kind of settle some nerves last night?
So much, so much. I think one of the things that I really appreciate for all the life, for God and for everything, is having me in a postseason in my first year, because that like I learned so much from that, and special yesterday, we know that was a big day. Was a special day for us. First game of postseason is so special, but I know how to control my emotions. I know how to control all my body language. I know how to control the situation. Not obviously not all the situation, but you know what I mean. Like try to calm down and everything, putting it in the way that I can go for it, and for that reason, taking that experience from the 2022 from now is something that I really like, because it's something that I really feel good for it.
Thanks, Oswaldo.
Thank you, Rick.
We got two more for Oswaldo. We'll go with Bob Clappish and then Brendan.
There we go. Hi, Oswaldo. Thank you for taking the time today. I'm just curious, as you were speaking about learning to pick and just learning the position overall, what realistically, how good of a first baseman do you think you can be? I mean, is it your goal to be a capable fill-in replacement, or to be as good a first baseman as you are at any other position?
What a question, Bob. I think, like I always say, I just try to be ready in any position. I just try to be ready for the moment that they need me, and we try to cover, like I say, in every practice, like the different situation that can happen in the game. And obviously, right now, I can be on first, but in any moment I can go to play second shortstop, third, left field, right field, whatever. And I would just want to be ready. So we are practicing all those positions too. Like right now, I know my role. My role is just being a utility and just be ready. And like I always say, don't make any excuse when something happens in the game. I have to be ready for all those situations.
Thank you.
And we'll take the last question for Oswaldo from Brendan.
Oswaldo, what have you seen this season? What have you seen this season between Juan Soto and the fans in right field? How do you feel like they've embraced them, and what do you think he's thought of the interaction?
I think he'll love it. I think he'll love it because everybody enjoy like the roll call, all the love that they show for Juan Soto. Obviously, he deserved because he worked so hard for it, and he's been doing so great this season. And see how the fans like appreciate that, how the fans show those type of the emotion, the love, all those things it feels so good for us because we know that he loved that too. And we know that they put that energy inside of him too with all those things that they made for him.
Thank you.
You're right.
Right, Oswaldo, always great to see you. Best of luck the rest of the way. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Michael. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Take care.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Aaron Boone will be up next. We'll just give it a minute for him to walk in.
Hi, Aaron. What is it about Oswaldo Cabrera? Is there anything he does behind the scenes or anything in particular that really allowed you to earn his trust?
I think he's been earning that over the last few years. Start with his love and passion of the game. That shines through. I think to our fan base, it certainly does with us. To watch him work behind the scenes, always making sure he's prepared at different positions. So if I throw him in different situations, like he's done that and ready for it, eager. I think remember when he first came up, and I remember somebody asking, "What's your favorite positions?" Whatever I'm playing that day, and he lives that, and he works incredibly hard. He loves his team. He's a great teammate. Whatever role he's in, he brings a joy to the ballpark with him every day and ready for any and all roles. So that's who he's been and who he's shown us to be for a few years now.
How difficult is it just to stay ready like he does for every position?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's different for every guy, but that's what the good utility players do. The really good ones are like Oswaldo are able to do that. So you can sit over there for a week and not get any action, and you got to be ready. And that's what being a utility player sometimes is in the big leagues, or stepping in at one position for an extended period, like he did to start the year a lot at third base for us. He's just a really good pro.
Thank you.
Go to Dan Martin next, Aaron.
Hey, Aaron. We know why Stanton kind of limits himself on the base paths because of the lower body injuries that he suffered. But, yesterday it kind of cost you guys with the grounder to third and Cabrera's double. Is that just the only gear he has at this point? Or is there a time when he can give you a little bit more? And is it realistic to do what you guys want to do with him being kind of, half speed out there?
He's more than half. But it's a controlled gate that he knows he's got to get into. And he's burned himself when he tries to throttle back or up or down. That's when he knows he's been cost. So, it is something, you kind of got to live with. And, whether you've seen it over the years with a particular player that is incredibly slow, that's an impactful player, it's just something we got to live with.
So even in the postseason, it's not worth an extra bit of an attempt at more speed on certain plays.
He's got to do what he's got to do. Like I think he's getting to he's trying to get to what is his top speed in a fluid way as best he can.
Okay.
We'll go to Bob next, Aaron.
Hey, Aaron. I'm just wondering now in retrospect, now you've had a little bit of time to digest it. Do you think that Cole's struggle, I mean, obviously wasn't the same last night as he was against the Orioles in the previous start. Do you think having 9 days off may have affected him?
always possible. But that's what you got to deal with sometimes this time of year in these playoff series. You're going to have sometimes unusual breaks. Doesn't mean you can't go out and dominate too. So it's kind of, it's not always the answer. It could certainly be part of it. Just like, we talk a lot of talk going into this series. How's the layoff going to be? And ultimately, is that what affects you? Is that what makes you win? Or is that what made you struggle? Whatever it may be, it's not necessarily the answer. That's not necessarily the answer. But there's certainly something to, pitching on your normal 5-6 days. Now, I will say he threw a live inning on his 5th day in between starts to try and keep that rhythm and sharpness. So it's certainly possible it could have been a factor, but it doesn't mean if we get into another point at this playoffs where he has 7 or 8 days or whatever it may be, just because of circumstances, doesn't mean he can't go out and dominate like he does oftentimes. So it's just part of what we got to deal with at this time of the year.
And if I could just ask one other follow-up. Last night, the crowd, even by Yankee Stadium standards, it was really loud and energetic. There was a sort of a different feel, even at a decibel level. How much of an asset do you think that is or was? And do you think it's possible at that kind of energy, it can unnerve a visiting team?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, I think there's always that possibility in the playoffs. Not always so much a team, but sometimes it can affect an individual coming in there, so you always hope that can play some kind of home field advantage for you. I thought the crowd was awesome last night. There's almost like a whiteout feel to it, because there was so much white in the stands. And it was, I definitely think our guys fed off it a little bit. And I think I would like to think had a factor in us winning a ball game.
Right. Thank you.
All right, we'll go to Gary up next.
Hey, Aaron, thanks for taking the time today. There was a report that Nestor was supposed to throw today. Did that happen? And if so, how'd it go?
Yeah, I think he's walking out to play catch right now.
Gotcha. Do you think, if that goes well, he could still be a realistic option later on in the postseason?
I don't know. I mean, I'd be totally speculating. He's not throwing to not potentially be an option. So we'll see.
Gotcha. And what was he scheduled to do today?
What's that?
What was he scheduled to do today?
Yeah, catch play today. This was his first day of playing catch again.
Just 20, 30 throws?
I don't know the volume.
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll go to Chris Kirschner up next.
Hey, Aaron, with Glaber, from getting benched multiple times to getting demoted out of the leadoff spot to begin the season, do you just feel like he's someone who handles tough coaching well? I know in the past he's mentioned how much he appreciated when Mendy was here, when he would get on him. Do you just feel like that's something that kind of gets him in the right frame of mind when, he is being coached hard?
Yeah, like to think so. You like to think every player takes, hard coaching well, and grows from it. I think, where we're at now with Glaber, I just feel like he's had a lot of experiences now, as a big league player, and you're seeing the result of an experienced player, and that's what it looks like right now. He's certainly been through a lot this year. Some of his struggles certainly in the first half of the season, to be able to persevere from that. I always think those are valuable things to go through and add to your kind of experience bag, and hopefully continue to push you to be a well-rounded player. All I can say is I feel like he's in a really good headspace and obviously playing at a really high level for us. So, but I'd like to think he takes to it.
We'll go to Max up next.
Hey, Aaron, thanks for taking a few minutes. When Oswaldo was in here, he said that Rizzo these last few days has been like a Mr. Miyagi for him and Birdie and Rice. What specifically have you seen from Rizzo? I know a couple of days ago you said that he was impactful even if he wasn't going to play, but what has that meant for those guys learning first base and then getting comfortable?
Well, I think so many guys look up to him in that room, and obviously the level of first base play that he's played now throughout his life and now throughout his career as a Gold Glover, as a World Series champion, just the amount of experience he has, and then the kind of teammate he is to kind of want to just share whatever he can, help wherever he can. I think means a lot to those guys, and I'd like to think is another piece in some of the value that he brings.
Thank you. We got two more for Aaron. So Brian Hoke.
Aaron, with Carlos Rodon, was there a point this season where you realized it was going to be a better year, that he was not going to repeat what happened last season?
You broke up there quite a bit. So you want to ask it again?
Try. Was with where you realized it was going to be a better year, that he was not going to repeat what happened last year?
I don't recall a specific moment in time. I know just going through the winter, and I know his level of commitment and accessibility and like communication with strength and conditioning, training staff, pitching group. Like he was, you could tell, like locked in, really motivated. We saw that unfold in spring. I felt like he had a great routine and process and workman-like way about him that you saw right away in spring training. Obviously, getting off to a good start, I think, certainly helped. But I think what the work he did and the process he created, and I've said a lot with you guys chopping wood. I also think set him up to navigate a tough stretch of the season too, where he went, whether like a month there where he had some rough starts. But because he had a really good foundation laid, he was able to kind of power through that and have the ability to come through that. And I feel like finish the season really strong, to where I know he's going to walk out there tomorrow night, whatever happens, with a lot of confidence.
We'll do two last ones, Greg Joyce and then Randy Miller. Greg, go ahead.
Aaron, you had said that the left field situation would be fluid, but fair to say that Verdugo will be back in there tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay. And then Rodon doesn't have a ton of playoff experience, but he's a guy that can kind of use his emotions out there and feed off the crowd. How do you think he's going to react to that kind of atmosphere tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's always an intensity to Carlos when he's any game he's competing in. I would expect that to be there. Part of that is also harnessing that and channeling that in all the right kind of ways. So hopefully he can do that tomorrow night.
And we'll finish up with Randy.
Hey, Aaron. Watching Soto this year, this is the second time in the last 3 years you've had a guy going to free agency, a star player, have a sensational year. Is that just a great player having a great season? Is it more to that, to be able to channel that, what's going to happen? What do you think of how he's handled this? And is it similar to what you saw from Judge?
I think it's different in that I think obviously both guys handled it incredibly well. I mean, what Aaron did in his free agent year, a little different just because Aaron was entrenched in the organization and came up through the system and obviously established himself as a great player here and a face of our franchise long before that free agent year. Whereas Juan came in and had to assimilate to a new situation, a new team, new teammates. But in both cases, they've gone out and, had maybe their best seasons to date. But I think it's just a tribute to how great of players both guys are, but also the makeup that both guys have that, I think it starts first and foremost with a love of the game. Like you can tell both those guys, Aaron and Juan, love baseball. They love all that goes with it. They love the grind of it. They love the toughness of it. And even for those guys, it's never easy. Hitting's not easy. You're still, even when you're the best of the best, you're failing a lot. And but but I think it's a testament to how good they are and their makeup of, being able to really stay present with what they're doing and not getting ahead of yourself of what's to be. I think there's a peace within them that will handle itself in its due time when that time comes. My job is to focus on the here and now. I think both guys do a great job of that.
And while you're focusing on the here and now, during the downtime, how often do you ever just go through your mind like, wow, his price is going higher. What's he going to do? I know you're focused on the team, but you have alone time in a hotel or home. And does it just go through your mind like, what's going to happen here?
I mean, probably a little bit at different times. Like I wonder what happens or what it's going to end up being in the end. Um, but you also know being in this game long enough that who knows, it's every winner's different. Sometimes it takes the right people being in the mix to what the final number is going to be, and whatever it is, he's going to be in a pretty good spot.
Thank you, Aaron.
All right, Aaron, thanks for your time. Appreciate it.
All right, guys.
Hey, Carlos, how you doing?
Hey, how are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, we got you. Thanks for taking the time. Appreciate it.
Sorry about that. I
No,
was
no,
out there doing stuff.
all good. Well, thanks for joining us. If you got a question for Carlos, just feel free to drop it in the chat. Who wants to get us started? Gary?
Hey, Carlos, thanks for taking the time today. Just start off, how excited are you to be pitching in your first postseason game for the Yankees?
Yeah, I mean, the energy last night was it was pretty spectacular. What a great game, obviously. Yankees come out on top. It was great to see the stadium full as always, and they brought a lot of energy, so I'm looking forward to that.
Thanks.
We'll go to Greg Joyce next, Carlos.
Hey, Carlos, you mentioned the energy last night. When you're on the mound, do you kind of lean into that and kind of use that to your advantage, or how do you kind of approach that in a kind of big
Yeah.
atmosphere like that?
Yeah, I mean, the energy definitely fuels me. I think it's something that, I have to harness and deliver it towards the plate, but I definitely use that, and I try to use that to my advantage for sure.
And then just you've thrown in the playoffs twice before. Is there anything you kind of learned from those situations, games that you kind of take into tomorrow?
I think it's kind of one of those things where at times you just have to slow it down. It can really speed up, especially in big situations. That's kind of it.
Thanks.
We'll go to Brendan next.
Carlos, thank you for taking the time. Thank you for taking the time. You've spoken in the past about harnessing your emotions on the mound. With Yankee Stadium, 45,000 people screaming tomorrow, do you think it's going to be any different? Do you think you're going to have to do anything different to do that?
It's going to be a little different. It's going to be a lot louder. These games are pretty important. I think it's just one of those things where, I go out there, I accept that energy. I bring it in and I harness it to the plate and control what I can control. As soon as that pitch leaves my hand, it's kind of done with me. It's just focusing on what I'm going to do on the mound and what pitch I'm going to throw. Strike one, strike two. And it's just kind of one pitch at a time deal. All those great cliches that you guys love to hear.
Thank you.
Yep.
We'll go to Brian Hope next, Carlos.
Carlos, when you look back on last year, what do you think made the biggest difference in not repeating that this year?
I'm sorry, one more time.
When you look back, what do you think?
Oh man, it's not working.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you because you kept cutting out. I'm sorry.
Sorry. What do you think has been the biggest difference for you this year?
From last year. I think one of the bigger things is the confidence and just finding that confidence again to go out there and compete. The conviction in every pitch. The biggest thing for me is the confidence and then the conviction in the pitch I'm throwing. And going out there trying to win ball games. That's it.
Go to Chris up next, Carlos.
Hey Carlos, you had that 5 start stretch in like mid-June to July where you were really struggling, and since then you've obviously turned it around. What did you change from those 5 outings, and how do you feel like it's made a difference for you?
Well, I think the first thing was just switching up some usage, being a little more unpredictable. The second thing would be once again the confidence in myself, the confidence to be able to do my job, and my teammates having my back as well.
And we'll go to Ron Blum up next, Carlos.
Hey, Carlos. Thanks for doing this. When you look back at your good outings and your bad outings this year, do you notice any similarities of what you did well in the good outings and what came askew in the bad outings?
Um, well, it seems like the stuff usually is there. I feel like I've had, my stuff throughout the whole year and carried it to the end of the year. I think there's some, there's misses with fastballs, there's misses with breaking balls. They do damage on mistakes, and when I'm not in the proper spots I need to be to certain hitters, that then they'll do damage. These guys are really good. I think if you look at the good, I think there's, I get away with some pitches at times just being, one step out of the hitter, and then there's times where I'm just, dialed in and I'm hitting all my pitches.
Thank you.
We'll go to Bob Clappish up next.
Hey, Carlos, thank you again for doing this for us. Can you recall specifically about that last playoff game you pitched for the White Sox? You talked about needing to slow things down. Can you describe that a little more fully, what that means?
Yeah, I mean, I started off. I remember that last playoff game I threw with Chicago. Jose Altuve starts the game off with a triple. So it was, first inning, first pitch of the game, triple down the line, and I was pretty amped up because the crowd was going. And I remember just giving up that triple, and it's like, okay, how are we gonna prevent this run from scoring? So I just stepped back behind the mound. I think I looked at the ground and then took a breath and said, all right, let's it's one pitch at a time at this point. It's damage controlled, and that was it.
Is it easier for you to do that now than 3 years ago in your career? Do you feel like you've mastered that a little bit better?
Yeah, I think early on in my career, I'd get pretty flustered, and obviously there's still times that I do. I think that's just kind of who I am. It's a fine line of, it can propel me to very high highs and super low lows because, it can go both ways. It's a double-edged sword. And I'd like to stay on the right side of the line where, we're going high and we're going up.
Right. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah.
We'll go to Peter up next.
Hi, Carlos. I know you've spoken about how important last offseason was for you. Now, almost a year later, just how meaningful is it to you to be starting game 2 of a playoff series?
Yeah, I mean, last year was rough, as we know. I did not perform the way I felt like I should have, and obviously, up to par. I wanted to be better for my teammates, and went into this offseason with the help of a lot of people from the Yankees as well. And we kind of just got to work and put our nose to the grindstone and just got after it. And the biggest thing was to go out there and make every start. I did that, and now this season's over. We got a new season. It's the postseason. That's what matters now.
Thank you.
Yep.
Go to Randy up next.
Hi, Carlos. Right on the eve of spring training starting last year, a few of us talked to you about your weight loss.
Mhm.
And looking at you now, it looks like you even might have lost more during the season. How easy was that to do? How important was that for you? And how much do you think that has helped you have success this year in being thinner?
Yeah, I think I could talk about this for a while. Like I said, I've had a lot of help. One person being my wife, who's very committed to my craft as well, pretty much just as much as I am, and she had a lot to do with that. We had a lot of help to figure out, just what's right, what are the right things to put in your body. All of us like eating ice cream. Trust me, I do, as you know. All sorts of sweets, and it's you got to remember that food is fuel. And it wasn't just food; it was just getting to work and putting the effort in at home in the weight room. And as soon as I got to Florida, getting there early with our strength group and everyone that's a part of the New York Yankees. Like I said, a lot of people had a hand in this you know to get this going this year.
Is there something you're eating now that you hated before? I remember Severino a couple years ago said he hated vegetables and he started eating them and knew it was good for him and it helped him lose some weight. Is there something that you're putting in your body now saying, man, I can't believe I'm eating this?
Um, Sometimes I'll eat I like eating some beets at times. Depends on the I think we froze here. Oh no, we're not frozen. Um yeah, beets at times. I don't like beets that much, but it depends on the day. If they're made right, maybe with some feta cheese, I like that.
Thanks, Carlos. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
A couple more. We got Jorge Castillo up next.
Hey, what's up, Carlos? Thanks for taking the time. I'm a big Beat fan, so I'm with you on that one. You've started 2 games against Kansas City this season. One was less than a month ago. You had some success. How does that impact your game planning and how you attack these guys tomorrow?
Yeah, I mean, there's some information out there. Obviously, they have the same thing that I'm looking at. They know how I pitched them before, so just kind of going over those at bats and seeing what was thrown and just using that, how we're going to game plan and how we're going to approach each at bat to each one of those hitters. I'm not going to give you too much information because I can't give you too much.
Yeah. How much was like what you saw last night? Does that have an impact at all?
Yeah. I mean, seeing what Garrett does and how how they're getting after some fastballs and they weren't waiting around. They're pretty aggressive, and we'll see how they turn out tomorrow. What their approach is going to be.
And one more for me. You guys are used to pitching every 5-6 days, right? This is a 9-10 day layoff for you.
Yeah.
What have you been doing to stay sharp?
Yeah. So I can't remember what day this week I threw to our hitters. So I got up and down 4 times and faced them just to stay sharp, and they got to see some live pitching, and that was kind of it.
You know what day that was?
Let me think. What's today? Today's Sunday. I think Tuesday, maybe Wednesday. Wednesday.
Thank you, man.
Yep.
Is there a last question for Carlos before we let him go? All right, Carlos. Well, thanks for taking the time. Best of luck to you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.